Okay, this is lesson 33, and this particular section is about market structure and the different forms of competition. Right, so we basically have 4 different types of market structure that we will have a look at during the course. And there's perfect competition, monopolistic, oligopoly, and monopoly. Now, fundamentally, in perfect competition, there's loads and loads of firms, and you only make normal profits in the long run. Monopolistic, loads and loads of firms again, and you only make normal profit in the long run. Both of these, this one is sort of a bit of theory which we use to compare other industries too. So we have already compared a monopoly with perfect competition, and we've come to a discussion as to which is best. Monopolistic competition down here, it's very difficult to think of many examples of that. A lot of our industries in the UK belong to an oligopoly market, the supermarkets and the banks. A few number of big firms competing with each other, and also we have a monopoly which in one way is just one firm, although the definition expands at later stages to an industry having more than 25% of a particular market. Now, what you're trying to look at for at the end of the day, as per usual, is economic efficiency, which is using the best resource, maximising the use of scarce resources to maximise economic and social welfare. Okay, so what we have in perfect competition is we have loads of buyers and sellers, we have perfect knowledge and complete freedom of entry and exit. So as soon as there's profits in the short run, more firms will enter that industry and get rid of all of those profits. However, as we've already looked at, in the long run you end up with this picture here, and the profit maximisation place is the same as productive and allocative efficiency, which is really good for the consumer, which in a way helps to produce economic welfare. Monopolistic really is exactly the same as perfect competition. It seems to have just been highlighted more in the new syllabus. But it's basically that firms can have different brands, that not all products are exactly the same. So if you do raise the price of your product, customers will move to different products, but because they're all slightly different, some customers will stay with you. However, once again, in the long run, you make normal profit, because if your firm is making loads of money, that will attract other firms into the industry. Now, a lot of this is based upon the idea of what determines the market structure and how easy it is to enter into an industry. Okay, so if you want to set up a corner shop, it's still really expensive, but it's possible to do. If you want to open up a restaurant, it's possible to open up a restaurant. It's still really expensive, maybe £200,000, depending on obviously how big it is. However, right, it's still possible to do that. If you want to build your own aeroplane, you're probably a bit of a nut job, and it's going to cost you an absolute fortune. So capital cost is a big one. Sunk costs is the cost that you must take if you leave that industry. So if you buy your own restaurant and you keep it for 3 or 4 years, the probability is if you left that industry, you could sell the restaurant for the same price or a similar price. Unless you're a really bad restaurant owner, then it'd be appreciably less. Okay, so that is sunk costs. Now, the bigger the sunk costs, the more unlikely, the less likely it is that firms will try and enter that industry. If a firm has a fantastic patent, you may not enter that industry because you've got to wait 20 years for that patent to wear itself out before you can go in and copy it. So that gives a firm a degree of power. Knowledge of the market. If a firm has been in the market a long time, has a really good knowledge of the market, so in a way it has an advantage over everybody else. However, we've already learned that argument about creative destruction by Joseph Schumpeter, lived from 1863 to 1950, and he was saying that actually if a firm is making loads of money, you may bring in new models, new business models that may take on that firm. In a way that's happened in the supermarket industry, where you've got Aldi and Lidl have come along. I know they've been around a long time, but they've come along, they have fewer lines within their firms, less choice, but because their price is so much better, people are now going to those particular shops. Your firm may be very, very successful at building a great big brand. It's very difficult to create a brand from nothing, a UK brand or a global brand. It's one of the hardest things to do. So it's very difficult to create a brand. So therefore those firms that already have a brand have a distinct advantage over everybody else, and therefore it makes it much harder to enter the industry. And finally, limit pricing. If you're in the industry already, what you may do is you may reduce your price, and you reduce your price to such an extent that no one else can enter the industry because they're not going to make enough money. So to deter people from entering your industry, you reduce your price. So the threat of competition is causing a lower price, which of course increases allocative efficiency. But all of these factors will make it harder for firms to join. If there's high capital costs, high sunk costs, if a firm has a patent, great knowledge, great brand, and also uses limit pricing, it's going to be a very, very difficult market to enter. Remembering, of course, Joseph Schumpeter's argument. Okay, so we've done monopolistic. We move on to oligopoly. Oligopoly has a high concentration ratio, 3 or 4 firms in the industry. They are all interdependent. They all compete with each other. Now, I believe actually that with supermarkets and with banks, that there is competition to those industries. Zoopla has just joined up, where you can go along, it's all done on the internet, where you go along and you can lend your money to Zoopla, who will pay you a certain rate of interest back, and then they will directly lend that money to firms. Okay, so there's now different ways in which we can raise money. We don't have to go down the bank and be charged 20% in terms of how much you need to borrow to finance the firm. So these are the things in here which characterize oligopoly, 3 or 4 firms. They're interdependent, right? So if Tesco's reduces their prices, Waitrose offers a free newspaper and a cup of coffee. Woo! Or Aldi just offers lower prices, or Asda always has lower prices than Tesco's. They're all competing with each other, and they learn off each other, and what one does will affect the other firm. So that's an oligopoly. And finally, you have a monopoly, where all of these things on here, you have high barriers to entry, economies of scale, branding and everything else. So they have a distinct advantage over any other firm from entering that industry, unless of course you come up with a new product and a new idea. So this here is the whole spectrum of competition. But don't forget, you know, we've done this allocative efficiency, productive efficiency, economic efficiency, static efficiency, dynamic efficiency, new business models, right? So hopefully that marketplace will actually change all of the time. Thank you.